Mrs. Rayford,
Here.
Mrs. Richardson, Mrs. Grunberg.
Okay, if we could all please stand for the pledge. I'll start it since Dan's not here tonight.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Just a comment, the gentleman who usually leads us, he actually called me to let me know he wasn't going to be here to lead us in the pledge. That's how dedicated he is to that. So he asked me to make sure I took care of that for him. If nobody knows Dan Zander.
Dan Zanderman.
Okay, next we have approval of the agenda. Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
I make a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Support.
Any comments, questions? Please call the vote.
Dr. Early,
Yes.
Mr. Roscoe,
Yes.
Mr. Grunberg,
Yes.
Mr. Williams, yes. Mrs. Rayford,
No.
Mrs. Richardson, Mrs. Grunberg.
Yes.
Motion carries. Is there a motion for consent agenda?
Place forth a motion to present the consent agenda as written with further corrections.
Support.
Comments, questions? Please call the vote.
Okay, Mr. Roscoe,
Yes.
Dr. Early,
Yes.
Mr. Grunberg,
Yes.
Mr. Williams, yes. Mrs. Rayford,
No.
Mrs. Richardson,
Approve A, support B.
and Mrs. Grunberg.
Yes.
Next, we have superintendent's report. Superintendent Gibson.
Thank you, Board President Gruenberg. Good evening, and welcome to the superintendent's report. Maybe we'll see the superintendent's report.
What happened?
Oh, there we go, moments, here we go. So I'd like to celebrate all of these fine individuals sitting up here with me for our first moment this evening. This Board of Education has obtained Master Board status. All 7 members of this Board of Education have at least completed Level 1 board member training. So I know that we have a small audience here, but a round of applause for our Board of Education. I don't know what the statistics are, but I do know it is rare to have a fully certified board, and it is a proud privilege and honor to serve with all of these individuals. So thank you very much. They were comparing who was farther along in the coursework. I will not give a update on who is the diamond member of the group. So let's focus back on our schools and talk about elementary back-to-school nights. Our schools did a fantastic job welcoming families back. There were carnivals, there were resource fairs. If you attended the high school's back-to-school night, you followed the schedule of your children. We'd like to now officially celebrate all 3 of our Teachers of the Year. Our elementary Teacher of the Year is Lisa James. Our middle school Teacher of the Year, Suzanne, AKA Mama Booth, in 8th grade social studies. And a congratulations to Matthew Ostrowski, who is the high school Teacher of the Year for East Point High School. So congratulations to all of our Teachers of the Year. Very excited. Now, it is a year-long commitment to being celebrated by our organization that will kick off with the Salute to Excellence next week, and will end with the celebration at the Macomb County in the May. So congratulations again to all of our Teachers of the Year. Congratulations to our Student of the Year, Talia Butler. Talia is a senior who has been in East Point Community Schools since kindergarten. She is in year 13 of attending our school district, and she started her academic career at Forest Park Elementary School. She is currently at the top of her class and was nominated to be our Student of the Year by the high school counselors. Talia hopes to attend Alabama State University and study elementary education, where you can rest assured that we will be reaching back out to Talia to have her return and serve in her community, educating the children. And Mr. Yarch, I was feeling very proud and tall until I saw the picture of Talia, who makes both of us. She is a tall, beautiful, smart woman, and we are very proud to celebrate her and her accomplishments this year. So we are using Thought Exchange as a mechanism for lifting the voices of our children. We've been using this survey response system to lift voices of adults in our organization and have been using the information that teachers give us as a way to shift our practice and become aware of processes that might be cumbersome or things to improve in what it's like to work here. This kicks off our use of that same platform with our high school students. And what emerged in Mr. Yarch's first set of student meetings this year with our high school students is the importance of that graduation. And so, students had comments that they want to be something, they want to grow up feeling like they've done their best in life, and they want to graduate on time. So some pretty powerful messages came through for our students when they answered the question, what motivates you? And you can see that small word cloud that graduate was absolutely the most popular word. It was also a popular word among our senior students. And this particular comment resonated with a number of us. A student answered the question, what motivates you? And said, what motivates me is for my senior year is being the first girl in my family to graduate in 10 years. And just being the first child of my mom to say I did it. So many of our students lifted their thoughts about being successful for their parent, for themselves, and recognition that graduation is the ticket to the first step in a successful and happy life. And many of our children want to be successful in their future. And I like this one to close on this, as I want to be able to live my dreams and show that never giving up can get you places in life. So we've got a number of students to be proud of, and thank you, Mr. Yarch and Caitlin, for lifting some of our student voices. We do have a pink out game coming. Mr. Ball, I apologize if we stole your thunder on that one. October 20th, we've got a home football game against Ortonville Brandon, and it will be a pink out for breast cancer awareness. The East Point High School cheerleading team will be selling shirts as a fundraiser. Cheer for a Cure shirts will be available to students and staff. Shirts can be ordered online through October 8th and picked up at the game. Next, I'd like to invite Russell Ball, our Athletics and Activities Director, to the podium. It is time for Russell's update on the status of where we are with K-12 athletics and activities. Mr. Ball.
All right, thank you. So we're looking at our first fall update of where we're at with our fall athletics. Right now, we are planning on offering 28 sports total this year to our students. A number of them are new. This fall, we are offering for the first time in quite some time middle school football, high school and middle school cross country, as well as high school soccer. And we'll talk about all these fall sports in a little more detail in a second, but we are continuing to offer the high school football, high school and middle school volleyball, and then sideline cheer at both levels as well. In the winter, we are expanding to competitive cheer, as well as having our traditional boys and girls basketball at both levels, as well as high school and middle school wrestling, boys and girls bowling at the high school level, and sideline cheer for our middle schoolers. In the spring, we're continuing with our 7 sports, high school and middle school track, high school boys golf, and then baseball and softball as well. Right now in the fall, we have a total of 169 athletes involved in our fall sports programs, with only 4 of those athletes participating in multiple sports. And actually, one of our athletes has participated in 3 different sports, so we have some triple sporters out there. And then we break down by building. So our middle school, you can see we have a total of 85 athletes involved in our middle school sports program. Football returning was a big point of pride for me as the middle school PE teacher. I got asked about 20 times a week if we were going to have middle school football, so we were able to bring that back this year, and you can see we have almost 40 athletes involved. At the high school, we have 84 total athletes involved at the high school level, and we'll get into those sports as well. As our high school football team, we started off the season with a great win. We have our next game coming up this Friday. At home, we are playing against Cousino, so come on out and watch us. Our sideline cheer team is at the sideline for each game, and they are using the sideline season to get ready and practice and refine some of those competitive cheer skills. So as we get into the competitive cheer season, they will be finely tuned and ready to go. Our high school volleyball team started the season off with a win as well, which was really exciting, and they've been playing extremely well as we try to build out that program and having our varsity and JV squad this year. It was great to see high school varsity soccer return to the field at Forest Park. We finally won our first game last week against Hazel Park, which was exciting. We started the season being downsided, playing 8 versus 11, which is a challenge for our athletes. But one of the great things about our coaches is most of them have taken a bring the athlete anytime they come to us attitude. So we are still adding athletes to our teams as we speak. And our high school soccer team was able to round out to a full 11 as well as have a sub. So that was really exciting. We do have new equipment coming for them, new soccer goals and benches to be installed at the facility. Another great personal point of pride for myself was cross country. It was the sport I did in high school. So to see our athletes running, we don't have a huge squad at the high school yet, but our middle school numbers are already showing that we should see some gain there as we continue to grow the program. But then to be able to put on our Facebook pages our successes, like we haven't had cross country at this level in over 10 years, is quite an accomplishment. So shout out to Coach Henderson and his runners as he builds that cross country program. Again, middle school football. Our first game, we got a nice win against Kennedy. We play Roseville tomorrow night at home, so come check us out. The athletes played a great game, shutting Kennedy out. They look really strong on the field, and that is the future of East Point football. So come check out the future. You'll see them at the high school level in a few years. And our cheer team, having 20 cheerleaders at the middle school level is outstanding. And to see them cheer with pride, and they're extremely loud and exciting to watch. They are a great cheer squad. Coach Zerba and Thrift have them performing extremely well at the moment. Middle school volleyball started off the season with a win last week against Chatterton. And they played again tonight against Wilkinson. I don't know the details of tonight's game, but our middle school volleyball program is going strong at the moment, and we look to continue to build that. And again, we go into middle school cross country next. Again, adding middle school cross country to have such a big team, which 15 in middle school cross country is a good number to start off. They ran their first meet last week on Belle Isle, so it was a great meet to send our kids to. And one of our 7th graders finished 9th overall. He earned himself a medal in the process. So we have some great athletes at all of our levels looking to get involved in athletics. And I think the only thing limiting us is what we offer to our students. So that is our fall update at the moment.
Can I have a question?
Mm-hmm.
All that is great, and I'm praying that we have everything that they need in terms of equipment and things of that nature. But a real serious piece, and I see all the kids coming to participate in athletics.
Mhm.
But from a safety standpoint, and I think it's mine and Ed's pet peeve on the AVs, defibrillators. Do you have them, and how far are they apart, and how quick can we get to them?
Yes.
Because we know that children
AED.
AEDs.
Yep.
So we know that 100 children a year are dying because of that, and we want to know that our children are safe. Can you give us a synopsis of what's going on with that?
Absolutely. All of our coaches are CPR, AED, first aid trained, so that's the first step. All of our coaches, we do have emergency action plans for each facility that we're at. The AEDs, which are the number one factor in saving lives when it comes to heart related emergencies for our athletes. At each of our facilities, we have an AED directly outside of the gym. And then for our off-site facilities, when our coaches travel, we do have a travel AED that they are required to take with them. Right now, we have one that we travel with, and we are working to get at least one more. But we do travel with those.
Thank you, sir.
You're also doing training this Friday as well, and you're running a CPR course, correct?
Correct. We are training staff members within our district AED, first aid, CPR this Friday as part of PD.
I have something, the gentleman who took ninth, if I'm not mistaken, you said you ran cross-country in high school, so you have an idea. I think I have a pretty good idea, too. I understand that he did 14:04 for, it's a 2-mile course, correct?
Correct.
Based on cross-country standards, a seventh grader averaging 7 minutes and 2 seconds per mile for 2 miles. How good is that?
That's pretty good.
I mean, I would assume that somebody on that is probably on a trajectory by the time they hit senior year. They should easily probably be under 6 minutes a mile by the time they're there.
Yes, I think with the correct training and development, we could be looking at an all-state runner right there.
That's what I'm saying, and I only wanted to bring that up because sometimes, I mean, kids do something that's really, really special, and I don't think people realize how that special is. Somebody asked me, they said, well, 14:04 for, 2 miles, how fast is that? And I said, well, when I ran track in middle school, actually it was junior high, it ran through 9th grade. And we had a 9th grader who was probably one of the fastest in the county at the junior high level at the time, and he barely broke 5 minutes for 1 mile. This student, 2 years younger, averaged 7 minutes a mile roughly for 2 miles.
Mhm.
That's pretty phenomenal.
Yeah.
There really is.
Mile's not a flat course either.
Yeah, and I just wanted to point that out because I hope it gets back to that child so that they make sure that they stick with this because it's something that they could probably excel at quite a bit.
Yeah, I appreciate that, and I know his coaches are definitely talking him up and encouraging.
And I was really happy that cross-country, I only did it briefly when I was in high school, and I found out how much running was involved with it. And that was a different story to me, and I preferred to do my running chasing a soccer ball, so. And so seeing the soccer and then win their first game, that was really nice to see that you have enough numbers that was up there, because I think I won a year or two ago, and they only had 8 players all the time. It's nice that the numbers have gone up as well, too, because that's a sport I grew up playing my whole life. And cross-country, I love seeing the numbers, especially at the middle school, because my daughter ran when she was in high school, and we would go to the meets, and sometimes there would be middle schoolers running at the same event, maybe just before or just after. And when I saw that, I thought, wow, that's pretty cool. Now, there wasn't a lot of middle schools that were doing it, but I thought, wow, that's pretty cool that they're doing that, and it gets the kids involved in it, a little earlier. So, because cross-country, it's hard to join cross-country in high school if you've never done it before.
Indeed.
Because
But
it
I
is.
believe for middle school sports, we can expand and include 6th, 7th, and 8th.
Well, I thought MHSA, can you clarify this? I thought the rules were that 9th can compete, 9th through 12th against each other, and only 7th and 8th graders can compete against each other.
It depends on the sport. Non-contact sports, basketball, cross-country, volleyball, we can move 6th graders up.
So 6th graders can.
But in the contact sports, hockey, lacrosse, football, we cannot.
So there's that distinction now. I don't think there used to be that distinction, but there probably is now.
Yep, we have opened up our soccer team to girls as well, trying to make it a co-ed team to build numbers, because that's another option that we have where we don't feel like we'd have enough female athletes to put together a dedicated girls soccer team in the spring. We can invite them to play on the boys team in the fall. So that's another way to build numbers and get involvement in our athletic program.
Good.
Yeah,
Sounds good.
I think, I congratulate you on everything the district is doing. Welcome back sports. A lot of them But the huge piece that I saw stood out to me was wrestling, because we had wrestling at East Point a few years ago, and then it disappeared. But that's huge. And yeah, that AED piece is real close to my heart, because, no pun intended, but, you know, it's a case study that it seems to be overlooked. And it happens daily. And thank God it really hasn't happened in our district since we've been aboard. But, you know, we just need to be prepared for something that might not never happen. Then when it happens, not be prepared. So appreciate that, and thank you.
Yes, safety of our athletes is primary objective.
And Russell did not add it, but I will. I'd like to also compliment Russell Ball and Shannon Elliott. They are the two-man athletics department. Russell has been cleaning closets and inventorying equipment and material, operationalized 4 new sports for this fall season for our children, and has been ordering an unprecedented number of uniforms and equipment and materials that had been overlooked. So you did not celebrate all of the things that you've been up to, Mr. Ball. You kept it all about the kids and the sports, and we're grateful to all the work that you have done that puts our student athletes out in front. Russell's also been working to coordinate and support transportation services for Boys and Girls Club and support the YMCA after-school program, as well as building relationships with Rare and Tony Lipinski. So Russell did not highlight everything, but he's been doing an impeccable job in this newly created position for the district.
Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, and your hat is appreciated as well. So upcoming events, we have September 29th. There is no school for students this Friday. It is a school day for teachers. There will be professional learning across the district. Gleaners, out of our control, the Gleaners food distributions will be changing. So if you are someone who takes part, just take note that yes, we did just have a food distribution. There will be a new one and a new time, 11:30 a.m. at East Point Middle School on October 4th. October 12th begins parent-teacher conferences across the district, and October 27th ends the first quarter. And that concludes the superintendent's report this evening.
Next, we have hearing of the public. Does anyone wish to be heard? Does anyone wish to be heard? Seeing none, that opening closes at 6:53. Next, we have discussion action curriculum presentation 98C learning loss.
Stephanie Fleming will be sharing more about our learning loss plan. Stephanie.
All right, good evening, school board and community. This is a plan we've presented previously. It's a requirement of this plan, and you can probably skip to the next one. Yep, there we go. It is a requirement of this plan that we do bring any changes to public meetings of the board. And really, there weren't many changes, but with the deadline of the grant being this Friday, September 29th, I did want to just present one last time because we are no longer a hybrid. We're not in a hybrid scenario any longer. So that would be the only shift that was made. But I wanted to follow up on how we did spend that money. So there were 5. Back up a little. Thank you so much. There are 5 identified target areas that were allowable in this learning loss grant. It was administering and using high-quality assessments, implementing evidence-based activities, providing information and assistance to parents and families, tracking student attendance, and improving student engagement for our remote students. So this was when we were coming out of the COVID scenarios. and then monitoring student academic progress to identify students who need more help. So what we received was just over $100,000 in this grant. I believe it was $121,203 to be exact. And we spent the money on high-dosage tutoring last year, summer program high-dosage tutoring, so we were able to continue that offering through the summertime. And then we supported 218 students in our credit recovery program over the summer through for grades 9 through 12, and then educator support and professional development throughout the summer. So that is how we spent those funds. This is posted to our website, so there are some additional resources and then the assurance for the grant. Does anybody have any questions? Okay. Thank you.
There is no action for the board. This is our required update.
Okay, next we have B, which is technology, recommendation purchase of Chromebooks.
Yep. So I'm going to introduce Danny Latham at this time. The secondary principals have collaborated with the instructional team, and we, now that we've brought students back face-to-face and we've had an onboarding of a lot of curricular resources that require our technology to be increased at the high school and at the middle school, we are making a request for purchase, but I'm going to turn it over to our coordinator of technology, Danny Latham, to further discuss the request.
So this request is to purchase 35 Chromebook carts for the high school, which will allow us to place a Chromebook cart in each classroom. We've made the shift from giving every student a device to bringing them back into the building to, one, help limit breakage, device loss, and to make sure that the devices are there when the students need them in the classrooms. So we've worked with one of our providers, C-High Computing, for a quote on the carts. C-High is a REMC provider, so it did not need to go out to bid. It's a cooperative bid. And this will allow us to meet that goal of placing a cart in each classroom so it's available for the students to go along with the new curriculum that we're rolling out across the district. If a student needs a device, there is still the ability for them to check a device out from the media center at both buildings so that they have a device at home should they need one. Are there any questions?
Yes. I jumped out there, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Okay. What would you do different? I think we lost almost 100,000 in the first computers that we had. So what are we doing different to make sure that we get returned the computers back
We're bringing them
to the
back.
carts?
We're bringing them back.
And how are you distributing them?
Correct. So the carts will stay in the classrooms. They'll get checked out as the students come into the classroom and then returned at the end of the class. The teachers and students, will obviously monitor what's in the cart, but that should help reduce both device breakage and lost devices.
And you're storing the whole cart away?
The cart gets stored in the classroom. It's secured with padlocks. The back of the carts are also locked so that no cables come up missing or anything like that.
We currently do have carts in our schools.
Yeah,
We don't have one per classroom. So this would be an increase to allow teachers to have a cart for every single classroom. This ensures that they're charged. If they break, we have spares on hand that we can better swap out. We're also inventorying everything, and so when kids kids can check them out, then we're better able to monitor and make sure that the devices that they're checking out are actually working and that they're not at home broken. We were seeing a lot of that happening, or kids coming and forgetting their device. So this removes those barriers, and our teachers are able to then have quality, good access to technology to be able to deliver the curriculum. And our kids are going to have access to those things as well every day when they come in.
Thank you for your answer. Thank you.
Thanks for the assist.
I have a question. With the carts that you're purchasing,
Yes.
I understand there was an additional one that might have come with that, the 35 plus one or something. Did I read that correctly?
No, it's 35
I
carts.
thought I saw something about a savings on getting an additional. At any rate, how long are these carts supposed to last?
The carts will outlive the devices.
Exactly. It's just a storage unit. It's just like a shelf.
Are we able to, during testing times, are we able to share those with other buildings?
So each building has an allotment of devices. They have enough devices for every student. So there's really no need to move them from one building to another. Could they be? Absolutely.
Not the devices, the carts itself.
Right,
Yeah.
either way. I mean, we have devices and carts that we could move around the district, if we need to do that. But there are enough devices in every building that there really isn't a need to do that.
Yeah. I was just thinking about past performance when sometimes the devices were not charging correctly in the middle of testing, and we had to switch out things, so just checking.
And I will say that since you had that experience, all of those carts have also been replaced.
Yeah, I wanted to ask a question. On the receipt that you showed us in board book, I think what you're saying, Mary, that there was a discount, it was $400 for the freight, but it still showed up on the receipt.
It's still on the quote.
Yeah.
It's should they need to use it. We have a forklift that's at the warehouse that we can actually offload the devices and not have to absorb that cost.
I think that's what the
Yeah.
free thing that you might have been looking at.
Yeah, there was something else in there, but I can't remember exactly what it's at.
There was also a discount based on quantity.
Yeah,
I was able to get a
50.
discount based on
Okay.
quantity.
Yeah, the $50 per
50.
quantity discount.
Yep.
Which is good. Every bit help.
Yes, thank you. I have a question as well. I know that those, sometimes the gadgets, the things that connects the computer, sometimes they break a lot. And if they do, how soon would they be able to fix it if there's only enough for the students that's in the classroom?
Are you referring to the chargers that
The
plug in?
charger that goes in there that breaks sometimes?
All they need to do is call down to the media center. There are extra chargers in every media center.
Okay, so it won't be a week or something of that nature?
No. As a matter of fact, if there are instances where somebody will move a cart and actually rip off the AC plug, I have replacement plugs that we are out there that day to replace it.
Okay, thank you.
Well,
Okay, I would move that the board approve purchase of Chromebook carts as presented.
Support.
Okay, and then I kind of saved mine until after I made the motion. So I just want to be clear on this. So we're still going to have one-to-one as far as all the students are concerned.
correct,
All of those will basically be stored in all the carts,
correct.
in the individual classrooms that student is a part of, basically. Students, based on if there is an individual need to take one home, they would be able to sign one out to take home, in one way or another, and we can track that. And then, God forbid, but in the event that something happened, we have to go all virtual, we would be able to go one-to-one with all the students and send them home with everyone, so every one of our students would have an opportunity to do virtual.
Correct.
So we're kind of covering all our bases here, and at the same time, by putting it into the carts, we're kind of protecting our losses a little bit as far as
Correct.
breakage and people not returning them and things like that.
Correct.
Now, as far as the carts, if nobody has seen them, it's kind of like a safe almost. These things look like they're pretty indestructible. I mean, they look like I don't know, the ones I've seen in the media centers, those are the ones you're getting, right?
Yep.
Yeah, those look pretty, I mean, they're kind of like all metal on the outside and stuff. I mean,
They
they're
are,
pretty
yes.
solidly built.
They are all.
Now, that's not to say what's inside might not break on occasion, but I know the outside portion is pretty durable looking to me. So. Okay, anything else? You got it? It was me and who?
Dr. Early.
You got it? Okay, we'll call the vote, please.
Mr. Grunberg?
Yes.
Dr. Early?
Yes.
Mr. Williams, yes. Mr. Roscoe?
Yes.
Mrs. Rayford?
Yes.
Mrs. Richardson? And Mrs. Grunberg?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next we have Human Resources, Support of Instructional New Hires, EFE. I better get my glasses on because I'm not gonna. I would move that that the board support the hiring of the new hires, EFE, as listed.
Support.
Comments or questions? Okay, please call a vote.
Mr. Grunberg?
Yes.
Mr. Roscoe?
Yes.
Dr. Early?
Yes.
Mr. Williams, yes. Mrs. Rayford?
Yes.
Mrs. Richardson?
Yes.
Mrs. Grunberg?
Yes.
Okay, and then number 2, I would move that the board approve a contract for the Director of Human Resources as presented.
Support.
Questions, comments?
I have one comment. I meant to say it in the one before, and I'm glad we changed the word from approve to support.
Well, I was going to comment on all of this being in here because there were some questions that came up as far as how we were handling new hires. So I went back after the last meeting because I would say it wasn't handled very artfully at the last meeting, I guess you could say. That's the best way I can put it. So I went back to look at, and there were some questions as, do we have to approve them or don't we have to approve them? Well, so I went back and I looked at the revised school code, and it's not real clear as to whether we actually have to vote on them to approve them. So what I did then is I contacted the attorney, Brad Banasic, at MASB, because he provides a free service for us, and we can ask him questions at any time. So I emailed him to find out. So it was kind of funny, because he sends me back exactly the revised school code, what I had looked at originally on the first email, and I said, yes, I see that, but can you clarify? Because it tells me that as a board, we do have to make sure that they carry the appropriate certification, and that a salary is part of that contract. It has to have a numerical amount attached to that contract. So those things were easy in the revised school code, but I still was unclear as to whether we had to vote on them. Well, Brad came back to me and he sent me an email when I pointed it out, and he said, well, it is not really that clear, but it's been
Past practice.
yeah, but not necessarily past practice, but it has been looked into and it's been determined that the board is required to approve these contracts, okay? So even though we are not, we all know that we, based on our professional learning and everything, we're not supposed to be part of the selection process, okay? But in the end, once the selection is made, as a board, we do need to make sure that if they need to be certified for that position, they carry the appropriate certification. And we do need to make sure that there is a dollar amount attached to their contract. That's basically what we are approving at that point. We are not getting involved in the selection process. We are just making sure that what we're responsible for has been taken care of. So that's why this may continue to evolve a bit, but it's going to, so it may end up being, and I've already talked to the superintendent, because of what we can do is we can approve a personnel report instead. So we can either approve this as part of the consent agenda, which is the way we were doing it. We can approve it as part of the normal agenda, which is the way it's listed now. Or you can approve it as part of a personnel report. Okay? So I had suggested to just basically, so we're not involved in the selection process, produce a personnel report that has the information on it that we're required to know, so that we can see, okay, there's a salary and there is certification if they need it, and that's all we really need to know at that point, is if those positions, they are certified and they do have a salary attached. There'll be more information on there. I'm sure we're going to have name, position, date of hire, things like that as well too, right? But what you may see in the future is just a personnel report as a single item for all of the new hires coming into the district at that time, rather than individual items like that. So we'll only have to vote on one item as a personnel report. We can determine later on if we want to continue to leave it in the regular portion of the body here, or if we want to make it part of the consent agenda. Because what consent agenda really is all about, it's a way of being able to pool a lot of items into one area, because you normally approve these items on a regular basis anyhow. So rather than sit here and have to approve, 20 different items, you can approve one item and it's all one block, okay? The way we had it written before, there was the opportunity to pull them out individually. This kind of kept that from happening, and from now on, I want to make sure it's in a position where no contracts really get dealt with individually, because I just try to think of it this way, folks. And this is the last thing I'm going to say, and I'm going to ask you to please call a vote. If I was in a position of somebody who was potentially being hired by this district, and I went through a selection process, put in my resume and everything like that, and then you get to where you're basically pretty much already on the job and everything, contracts all but signed. And I don't care any position in this district. Then it comes to the board table, and then we're going to knock it around at that point again. Just doesn't seem right to me. This person sitting to my right, they handle the selection process, and them and their staff and their people. What we do is we should only be looking at what we're responsible for.
Absolutely.
Once again, like I said, salary, and to make sure they have the proper certification, and that's it. And she will produce a document. She's already done this up to this point, and we will always have a document produced that provides us with that information. Please call the vote.
Brother President?
What?
Before you shut down, I know you're going to call a vote, but I would like to make a 1-minute report.
Oh?
Afterwards. Just a report. No, after you do your vote.
Okay, I'll vote. I'll vote.
Mr. Grunberg,
Yes.
Dr. Early,
Yes.
Mr. Williams, yes. Mr. Roscoe,
Yes.
Mrs. Rayford,
Yes.
Mrs. Richardson, and Mrs. Grunberg.
Yes.
No, we're not getting into a comment. It's a report. It's an actual report. Yeah. I'm not changing the game.
Okay, you might be headed down a line where I was talking about anyway, so I'm going to give them a little bit.
Let's see.
I'm going to be liberal. Go ahead, Mr. Roscoe.
Little leverage.
I'm going to give them, I'm going to be a little liberal here.
We had an opportunity to go to the MASB back at the Capitol. Was that you?
No, you guys were there. Go ahead, go down that road, because
So-
this is something I had already talked about.
So we had an opportunity to play our role as part of the school boards and all the other adjoining school boards. But lo and behold, we ran into our superintendent at a very high stage of that day on the Senate floor. And to see our superintendent go to battle for East Point and all other schools was awesome. I mean, it shook up the whole room, and I just want to give her kudos and a way to go, because she was a force to see that day. And I just want to bring back, Brother President, that our superintendent was putting in that work.
Made our district proud. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, well, you kind of touched on what I want, but in the future, if we get it to arrange the way that I'd like to see it arranged, is I was already, within a couple hours ago, had already mentioned to the superintendent that what I'd like to see is an item on the agenda going forward for committee reports,
Yeah, we should be reporting.
which will give us the opportunity when we go to functions like that.
Yeah.
And I was saying, because while you guys were there, I was local at our ISD and our legislative committee there as well, too.
Absolutely.
And I think it's valuable for us to have that on the agenda as far as committee reports. So anything we go to as far as a committee or anything we attend,
Sure.
we have the ability to come back and bring that to the rest of our board members. Because pays a big dividend when we're all working together on that, right? So,
I agree.
I mean,
Master board.
well, after all,
you're
we can
master.
kind
No, I'm
of tell her, because we are a master board, we know what we're. Okay, we did call a vote on that one,
Yes,
so
we
we're good,
did.
meeting adjourned.
No, you are gold. What are you-
I'm dying Yes, it is.
I was hoping he didn't get phase 3.